Here we go. It's another edition of the 50/50 podcast presented by Physical Athletics. Our proud partners, Physical Athletics. You can find them, for those of you in the local borderland area here in El Paso, you can find them at 2270 Joe Battle Boulevard. You can also find them on all social media platforms at Physical Athletic. That's FYZICAL Athletic, as well as on their website at physicalathletics.com. My next guest, very unique dynamic. He's what I consider to be a very good friend of mine, yet somehow we've never actually met in person all this time. We can thank the soccer Twitter sphere for that, which is incredible, where we were able to meet. He is the current El Paso Locomotive Youth Academy coach and goalkeeping director, Coach Obed Hernandez. Coach, how are you?
How are you doing, Coach C? I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here. Yes, we've been Twitter friends for a very long time. I consider you my Twitter friend, right? And that's a great thing about social media, the networking that you can do, and just excited to talk a little with you and let's do it. You have a great podcast here, getting the word on the different aspects of the game from all levels, and it's exciting to be part of it. So thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely, we're lucky to have you here. We've been trying to reel you in for a while, so glad we finally got you here. Very excited about this, and I'm also excited, Coach, because this is something that's in both of our wheelhouses. We're going to talk about what may seem like one of the greatest rivalries since Real Madrid, Barca, Celtic, and Rangers. We're talking about club and high school soccer, right? Somehow they seem to be heated rivals for no apparent reason, but why can't they coexist? There should be a better coexistence, and that's what we're going to kind of dive into today. And we're glad to have you on that. And as our listeners will find out, they'll be able to tell, you'll tell your story and also your expertise and your background and why you can speak so much on this particular topic. So, but before we do any of that, Coach, kind of let's give our listeners a visual, kind of a little bit on the background, your experience, and also what it's kind of been like for you coaching through this pandemic.
Okay, well, I was an immigrant from Mexico, to start off there, and I was a baseball player. I played baseball since I was 3 years old, right? And that was the dream. That was my dream, my father's dream. And at some point when I was around 12 years old, my brothers invited me to a Libre game, adult league game, and they needed a goalkeeper, and I was going to be the seventh player, right? They needed to start the game, and I got in the net and I got scored on, I don't know how many goals, 8, 10 goals, I'm not counting, and fell in love with it from there on. And at some point had to tell my dad that I wasn't going to play baseball anymore because I found my new passion. It was in football, right? And so from then on, I just started playing. I was fortunate to have some talent, some raw ability, especially in the net. And that took me into many different places in terms of a competitive club here in El Paso. And again, that's back in the mid-90s. So I played with various club teams, played with the Patriots, Panthers, Bears, went to state tournaments, and had a really fun time playing there. And I also really had a really good experience playing high school soccer, right, at Hanks High School. And I was there for 4 years. Injury somewhere along the way in my sophomore year prevented me. I came back. I was able to come back and play competitive at that point, but not beyond, right? I got seriously hurt that to this day, some people are like, why are you still playing soccer? It's like, I can't. As long as I have my legs and I'm able to move, even through pain, I'll play. So I wasn't able to play. I tried playing in college. I tried playing in professional teams in Mexico. Would make the cuts, but that medical exam was something I never was able to pass. Right. So right when I was going to graduate high school, a former middle school teacher came up to me and asked me, "Hey, Obed, do you want to coach my middle school girls club team?" And I hadn't even graduated yet from high school, and I was sure, let's do it. I know that I wanted to be part of the game, and even though that at that point I still was trying to try to make it, I knew that coaching was something was gonna be in my future. So I did it. Oh, I loved it. So my first instance was coaching girls, but it was fun, right? I was still involved with the game. I can still be competitive in the game, and I started then. You know, it took a couple years off while I was still trying to like see if I can make it professionally in Mexico. And then when I was around 21 years old is when I really took off, right? When this was a serious thing. I was married at the time, and my wife at the time, I'm divorced now, but she was like, "Are you really going to take this seriously?" I mean, yes, this is what I want to do. So I decided that I was going to coach soccer in high school. So I needed to become a high school teacher. So I went into history, coach my club here called Revolution. That's what the name will come back later. And then I also coached a club in Las Cruces, had a club there for a few months. And once I became a teacher, I wasn't able to get a coaching job at the high school, right? The most important thing was getting that job as a teacher. So when I was there, the slots were full. And something happened during the middle of the high school girls season, my first year teaching, that I was the most qualified to coach the varsity team, and this is what I was waiting for. I know that I thought it was going to take me a few more years to be a varsity coach, but my first year teaching, you know, I took over the San Elizario girls soccer program, and I was there for 10 years, right? And it was a really good experience, from, you know, not having enough players in the program to suit out, to having to recruit players, to, you know, finally my last year, you know, making it to the Sweet 16, which was a great experience. So there was a lot of good things that happened there. And, you know, in 10 years, you know, you grow as a coach, you learn as a coach, you make mistakes, but then you fix them and you make things better, and you build a culture, and you learn about weight conditioning programs, and all these things. But after 10 years, I think it was time for me to, what was going to be the next step in coaching soccer, right? I knew that even though I feel like I know a lot about soccer, I wasn't really educated. I had my E-license that I had gotten back in 2004, I believe. I was like, I need to be serious about my coaching education and my coaching pathway, that I decided that, you know, in order for me to do that, I needed to leave the high school game and going to club soccer. That was going to give me a little bit more time to do my coaching licenses and just experience the game in a different way. And it has been great. You know, the time that I spent in Sanelli as a girls coach was awesome. But these last 2 years, it's been exactly 2 years since I left the program. I've experienced so much, from obtaining my D license and getting my Mexican Pro license, to assistant coaching at a semi-pro women's soccer program, to helping the El Paso Locomotive start our academy, and coaching goalkeepers. It's just been an awesome roller coaster ride that, you know, just gets better and better. And trying to finish up my C, in the sense that, you know, when I was excited that I was going to start the C license, but then it became blended, and it just has not been the best experience for me. I should have finished my C license in February, the end of February, and to this date, I haven't been able to get evaluated. So I'm still working on getting that done. Hopefully this summer that gets done. But also coaching through a pandemic. I never thought that I would be a virtual soccer coach, right? So before I joined Locomotive, I was with El Paso Surf, and, you know, once we shut down in March, we went to Zoom trainings, and man, that was fun for everybody. I got in shape, you know, trying to show the drills to the kids and doing that. And then, you know, not only coaching in a pandemic, but starting in a youth academy in a pandemic was really difficult, right? You lost some of the stuff that usually goes on with club, of having like official tryouts, trying to see everything, trying to do things a certain way. And we just had to, like you mentioned earlier, like if you wait for the right time, that right time is never going to be there until you go with it. So we decided to go ahead and begin the youth academy. And you know what? It hasn't been perfect, but we are doing we're doing awesome things. In 20 years that I've been around soccer, this is like I feel like I'm working with colleagues that are they're so knowledgeable of the game. It's a structured club, and again, it's not perfect, but it's we're working on things that to make us, make our coaches and our players, be the best that they can be. But it's been difficult, right? Last fall, where we got it going, we were almost done with the season, a couple more games before the playoffs start, boom, we get shut down. So we didn't get to go to a tournament. I'm excited about next weekend. Well, wait, I'm excited about this weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. It's going to be my first tournament in 2 years. My first tournament with the Locomotive. We're going to be. I'll be in Dallas this weekend, and then part of the club will be in Dallas, and the other part will be in Denver. So it's exciting, man. It's like nothing like going out of town for a tournament. And this one is like, man, really, really amped up about it, from the players to the parents. The parents are like, finally, we get to get out. But we still have to worry about the current situation, right? We have to acknowledge that we're moving on in this pandemic, but we still got to be careful. And we've been trying to do things the correct way. And the league's been doing a great job of keeping everything afloat, and everybody following the rules to make this season a really good one. The fall was good, but this one, it felt more like a natural, non-pandemic season, even though there were some social protocols, having to check temperatures for every single player, to carrying your hand sanitizer before they go to the game, to no parents inside the field, which is, could be a good thing at sometimes. But it's been wild, and like I said, it's a roller coaster ride that just gets better, right? And it's about the experience. So I'll be a survivor that I coached during a pandemic. I went from virtual trainings to those only having 6 players, socially distanced. Imagine trying to coach soccer when players are socially distant. That was just like the craziest thing. But we're managed to do it, and it's a good way to end a year by going to a tournament, experiencing that, and all the thrills that go into coaching in a tournament, playing in a tournament for the players, the parents supporting in the tournament, the road trip, all that's going to be awesome. But yeah, that's a little bit about my story. Again, I want to. It's been an interesting process having to manage, having to go from high school then to club, right? There's a lot of things that I miss about high school. I miss that every day dealing with the players, checking in on them if they're having a good day, a bad day, calling them out when they go tardy to their class or they're not turning in assignments, building the culture. Like, those are the things that I really miss. But there's also other things in club that I wouldn't want to lose, right? That competitive edge, that that focus, that determine, players really want to be there. It's something that is good, but that I do miss that
Right.
that aspect of the high school game that I learned as the years went on, and it was awesome. I think that I left at a really good spot, but I love what I'm doing right now, and my lady tells me that I'm a great goalkeeper coach. I love goalkeeping, like that's my passion, but I also love the team game, right? But she says you need to drop everything. You just need to coach goalkeepers 100% of the time, which would be good, but I don't know if my body could take it, and it's intense to be a goalkeeper coach. But yeah, that's a little bit of what's happening with me, and it's been a nice 20-year ride as a coach, and looking forward for another 20 years if possible.
Right. Yeah, you hit on so much there. That was a lot of great stuff. I mean, you kind of stole my thunder. You snuck in some of my questions there, actually. So no, that's great stuff, Coach. So and we'll go back and forth, obviously, between high school and club. It's the nature of our topic today. But you've been with Locomotive for going on about a year now, right? And kind of, I know you came on board with them right almost in the heat of the pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. And you really, obviously, you didn't know what to expect, and then there's a pandemic on top of that. But has it exceeded what you kind of thought it might be, the experience? Tell us a little bit about, I know you alluded to it a little bit, but has your experience so far, has it exceeded what you kind of anticipated, or has it been about what you thought when you factor in everything, pandemic and the ups and downs in the Zoom sessions? Tell us a little bit about that experience so far.
Yeah, well, prior to like really launching the academy, I was part of the player development program that the Locomotives had started like a year before, right? And it wasn't full club. It wasn't. It was just a few extra sessions, we called it, for our players, and there was players from all over the city, so it was a good experience to like start off, and then last summer, right when we finally decided that we're going to do it, right? We were waiting. It was like, okay, well, we're going to announce in May, and we're going to have tryouts at the end of May, June, and it just didn't happen. It's like, no, we'll just postpone. We'll just postpone. And it finally, late June came up, and the directors were like, let's do it. Let's go. And, the coaching staff was already there. We were anxious to see what was going to happen. And once it was announced, it was full throttle, right? But with that asterisk that we're in a pandemic, we can't go full throttle. And I had never really been part of a club this big, and especially starting one off like this, right? I had been in smaller clubs or already established clubs, and this was different, right? Because you can't do some of the normal things that you usually do from those tryouts, those infamous tryouts that you invite players or you allow them to register, and then you get to see. A lot of people thought that we really handpicked our teams, and that wasn't the case. We saw some players, we knew of some players, and they were on the list that registered, and we're like, you know what? Let's take them in and let's build some teams, right? We ended up getting 16 teams the first season, which was a lot, right? It was a lot because you needed to have 16 coaches that were really that were excited about it, and we all were like, but we had to really follow the guidelines. Right, you couldn't do certain things like giving a pound to a kid, right? Telling him like good job, and or celebrating a goal with them. You couldn't do those things. You had to really be restricted. And as a coach, I think that I'm a very passionate coach when it comes to training and to the games. I had to really limit myself because I needed to set the example, right? We still had to, besides the training, we still had to take care of the social distancing, which we really believed in, and like we still do. Like it's still, you have to set your cones in six feet apart. Now it's a little bit more like 3 feet apart, but where the kids are going to go and they're going to put their bags right there, and that's where they're going to drink water. And when we huddle up, we still got to be a little bit careful and wearing a mask. I don't know how you felt about. I wore a mask from July all the way to like February is when I kind of stopped really wearing a mask during practice, and kind of was taking it off a little bit more. And once I got vaccinated, I felt a little bit more at ease with it. Mm-hmm. But man, that was difficult. That was coaching in a mask, and in July in El Paso, it's not the best thing, Yeah. And those little things just make things like value what you have. They really do value that you're able to do it. I feel bad for my New Mexico friends that they're barely starting. They went a lot of months without having soccer, right? Both high school and club. And I told it to my players, like, hey, we're fortunate that we're here, so let's just be safe. Let's be careful. If you feel sick, don't come to practice. And luckily, knock on wood, we didn't have any incidents in my team, and everybody was honest. It was awesome that we got, parents were on it as well. Like if they traveled out of we have people that go to Mexico to visit family, they let us know, and we'd like, hey, just stay home for a few days, check it out, and then if you can't get tested, and they would do that. And that is something that I didn't know how it was going to go. And I want to tell you something that I haven't had so much fun just coaching, because I think that the way that we started it's structured. It's really structured that if there's an issue outside of the soccer, like I'm not gonna take care of it, right? It's gonna be my director or somebody else that's gonna worry about that or collecting money and any of that. It's like I go there to plan my session, execute my session, evaluate my session, reflect on my session, go at it and do it again. And that's what and as coaches, you need that. Sometimes when you are in a small club or you have your own team, you're the coach, you're the manager, you're administrator, you're everything. And here, I think, and I'm gonna give credit to Bob Bigney, the director of youth operations at Locomotive. He's done a great job, right? And he has people that have helped out to really allow us coaches to coach the players, right? And like I've had great parents. This season it hasn't been the most successful season in terms of games. We played well, but we haven't scored. But parents are just so supportive. I love that it's not about the winning; it's about the development. They from early on, I gave them that message, right? Is trust the process, and you've heard me say this many times, and that's what it does. And the parents, they believe in that culture. They believe in working at it, and they believe that we are here to develop players and most important, develop people, right? And it's been fun. It's something that it's only going to get better as we're able to do more of the things that we couldn't do at the beginning, right? We started it, we went with it, we ran with it, we're going full force, but there were some things that we're still missing, right? And I obsess about soccer, but there's some things that we could do better, and as a coaching staff, we know, right? And now that we're going to have some time off in the summer to really think about building our curriculum, sticking to our philosophy, working and providing more coaching education and building the club. And now as we're moving into adding some girls teams, we need to do it right, because at the end of the day, it's all eyes on us, because we're doing something that it's different. I'm not going to say that it's never been done before here in El Paso, but it is different. Right now, our club is a little bit different from the other clubs out there. Some of them are doing great things, but I think that what we're doing is something very special and very unique, and we want to grow from that.
Yeah, for sure. Being you're the big fish right now. All eyes are definitely on you guys here. So, we talked a little bit about, or you mentioned briefly, you did incredible work. You were there for 10 years on the high school side with Sanelli Salio High School, which, for everybody that knows Texas high school soccer, that school has really been that program on both sides. You helped put them on the map on the girls' side, and obviously, Coach Sappenfeld has clearly put them on the map on the boys' side with multiple state titles at the 4A level. So, you've done tremendous work there. I know you mentioned that you've missed it along the way, probably the relationships piece, right? You've been away from the high school game now for a couple of years. Being away from it now, what have you noticed about the high school game now? Maybe in the last 2 years, just in terms of the game, the student athletes, the coaches, the coverage, whether it be, platforms, news, websites, even such, like, here's another perfect example, this platform, right? The web, the podcast, this is one of many. But what have you noticed about the high school game now that you've been able to step back and look at it from a different angle, from a different perspective, being away from it?
Yeah, well, as I left the game, these things were coming into place, right? I saw at the end of the last couple of years, like, the gap was closing. Those powerhouses were getting beat now, or teams were competing. The small teams were competing against the big teams, and that's what I see. I still go watch some high school girls games and the boys games as well. But I there's nothing like seeing a Franklin El Dorado game, or games like that. It's awesome to go see them, but the gap is closing, right? And and the game is a little bit better. The coaches are they're better quality coaches are getting hired, and it's that is awesome because it's going to make the game better, it's going to make the athletes better, and it's going to just push and put El Paso more on the map and more on the girls' side as well. So I seen the game become a little bit more competitive in all aspects. There isn't just one team dominating the entire season. Teams get beat. Teams, they're hot fought games, and that's awesome. And as moving forward with all these positions getting open, and I said in one of your tweets, is like, who are they going to hire at Franklin, right? It's like, are they going to take it serious and hire a quality coach? Which Rafa was a quality coach. I don't know why he's gone, but that's awesome that those opportunities are there, and soccer is being taken seriously to hire quality coaches to give programs that respect that they need. As in terms of athletes, I love along with the coverage with all these different platforms that are out there. It's finally giving those athletes the opportunity to be out there for programs, for collegiate programs to see, right? And not just the Division Ones, but all of them. There's so many opportunities for high school soccer players to go, especially here from the border, to go play in college, right? Even if it's a junior college, to jump into that 4-year university, they're there, and you see it more and more. Like it's awesome that and maybe social media wasn't as big, or maybe I wasn't too much into social media, but I think that I was a pioneer in the social media aspect here in El Paso.
Pioneer. We'll add that to the job title, pioneer.
There you go. I just love posting, and it was about posting for my players, right? And then boom, it started getting big, and players need a platform, right? And going back to the club in high school is not all players get to play in big clubs. So the opportunity is for that high school team to allow them to get exposed to some coaches that are out there. And I know in the city there are coaches that, both in the high school and the club that have a lot of networking. They know a lot of players, they know a lot of coaches, and all these different platforms, all these different social media aspects. Your podcast is doing a great service to the awesome quality student athletes that we have, because we don't not only have great soccer players, but we have committed, dedicated, community service oriented soccer players here in the city that will go and make a difference in other cities, playing in their collegiate programs if they're giving that opportunity. And I think I love seeing that aspect of it. And now if we can coexist and bring it both together, it is something that we're going to get El Paso on the map. And we've had instances throughout the years where we had a few players, but now we need a bunch of players to go out and play collegiate soccer and come back and become coaches in the city, start programs, join clubs as coaches, go to the coaching pathway, because we need more. I feel that the coaching pool out there is getting a little old. We need some fresh blood that went and played collegiate and come back. And thanks to all the things that are happening, and thanks to your podcast and all the friends that all the network of friends that you have that are giving student athletes a place where they can be seen and exposed to the entire country, right? To the thousands of places that are available for them to play.
Yeah. And you mentioned El Paso, and you mentioned the talent out here, and we'll hit on that a little bit more later. But I was on a very having an interesting conversation with DMing back and forth with a newly promoted college coach, and yesterday actually, and somehow El Paso came up talking about 2021s, and then he just told me, he's like, hey, it's, I know you're leaving, but still I need to pick your brain, and I need to get out there because, that I said that word on the street is just, I need to get out to El Paso. I need to,
yeah.
And this is a coach in Missouri. Okay. This is a coach in the middle of Missouri. And even he's getting that. So it says something in terms of the talent. And so, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So, Coach, as we segue here a little bit, we've talked a little bit on the club side, a little bit on the high school side. You've been around the game as a coach for about 15 years, right? 10 of those also on the high school side. So when you look back on it, from when you probably first started Sanelli back in, I think, was it 2010? Is that right? 2009, 2010? Yeah. So from then to now, there seems to be this like tension sometimes between high school and club coaches, and for whatever reason, just kind of bad mouthing each other or looking down on each other. And I guess my question to you is kind of, what did you notice over the years? How did we get there? I guess to a certain extent, I guess, if you will. What are your thoughts on that? And how can we better those how can we start bettering those relations? Because they really should support one another, right? So how can we better those?
Yeah, it's the history is, how far back can this go, right? But I experienced it in the sense when I became a coach at Sanelli, it was club coaches didn't respect you, right? So they felt that you're just another Hispanic that played soccer and is just gonna coach, right? And never they never see you as an equal. And I'm gonna say that because it's still there. It's still that he's just a high school coach. And there's some high school coaches that are like, he's just a club coach. Like there's that coexistence can happen. And it goes back to our nature, right? And in the sense that we want to be, we say it in Spanish, or orgullosos, right? We're proud of what we do. So I'm a proud high school coach, and I'm not going to listen to that club coach. I'm a proud club coach, and I'm not going to listen to the high school coach. And I remember having early on in Sanelli, I didn't have many club players, right? I was very fortunate enough to be able to coach in the middle school. So I was able to build my program in 7th grade, 8th grade. And then by the time they got to me, they knew exactly what they were going to expect, right? And I was able to get them. And then once they were in high school, club teams were able to like, oh, she's good. Let me bring her over here. And that's how it was. And it wasn't to the very end of like the last 3-4 years there that I was finally getting club players. And I would be honest, like I wanted to fight that. I was like, but why? In the end, like, why am I going to fight that when
right.
if a player is going to go to a college showcase tournament in January and miss my 4-team tournament, who cares? Like, where's she going to get exposed more, right? And I saw it's like, if you tell me, if we communicate and you tell me, hey, coach, in 2 months I'm gonna be there. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Make sure you have your profile ready. Make sure you have a real resume going so they can see you over there. And if that player goes, has a good time, she's gonna get experience, she's gonna come back and just be a better player for my team, right? And at the beginning, it wasn't like that, right? I was a little like proud and like, no, you can't go. You're gonna get benched. And teams still do it, right? But it goes back to like, we just need to communicate and we need to respect each other for what we do. And we really have to look inside and see why are we doing it? Are we doing it for ourselves or are we doing it for them? Yeah. And it's all about experience for the player, right? We want to build players that are going to leave El Paso, but that have this resiliency and have this experience and have this hunger and have this knowledge of the game because their coach, their high school coach, taught them these things, and then their club coach taught them these things as well, and then home and everything else taught them to be like, a resilient person, and they're going to go and they're going to compete and they're going to represent El Paso. Like, that's what we want. And still to this day, there's a lot of coaches, and I'm going to say that I'm able to talk about this because I was there for a long time and now I'm here and I see it. I still see it. Not as much though, but that are very proud and going to say, no, I made her. I made that player. I'm like, it doesn't matter who made her. None of that matters. It's like, can we make that person? Can we make that student athlete can we prepare them to go to that next level, right? And if we can do it together, if we can communicate and talk to each other about it, and take care of the player as well, because if a player plays club and plays high school year round, when do they rest? Like, when do they rest? If they're not playing high school, they're playing a bunch of tournaments in the summer, and then that winter break when you're supposed to have 2 weeks off, they have like tournaments back-to-back weekends, and then they have those. I know that didn't happen this year, but you play like 15 games in the month of January as a high school soccer player, which is ridiculous, right? It throws out all your periodization that you want to plan out. But why can't we communicate so we can protect the player, so we can build that player, so we can really make that student athlete ready to go to the next level? And I see it more and more. There is more communication. For me, I think that it was good that some people, I don't know, I might have some haters out there. I don't know, maybe I don't, but I still get along with my high school soccer coaches, colleagues, right? And it's all about the communication. And here at Locomotive, I think that we did a good job of not messing with the players during their high school season. As the older age groups, U15 and up, as they started finishing their season, they were welcome to come start practicing with the club, right? But it wasn't, and if you weren't playing, I know there wasn't a lot of JV teams and stuff like that. You were invited. If you're not playing high school, come on over and you'll get some training, so you're not left with a few months gap there. So I wish that more more club coaches would consider that, and they would communicate with the high school coaches and take that proudness, that orgullo away from the game. Because, like I said, who are you doing it? Are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it for the player? For me, having, win or lose, if we had the worst season ever, but we got 2-3 players to go play college ball, like, hey, we did something really good, right? Like, they're going to represent their school, they're going to represent their city, they're going to represent their family. And it wasn't about the wins and losses, right? It was about molding them, giving them that grit, helping them get that grit to go and compete at the next level. So communication and respect, man, I think that's how it coexists. That's where the coexistence will happen, if we communicate with each other and we respect what we do, right? And it's hard, right? It's hard if you are there's a lot of high school coaches out there, or maybe in the past, but that, maybe their strength was in soccer, right? Well, as a club coach, if you're getting, a pathway, and you're getting the opportunity to go to get some licenses, like, help that high school coach, right? Help them out. And vice versa. Like, as a high school coach, you get to see so many things. You see the daily life of a student athlete, and club coaches don't see that, right? I don't remember the last time I checked grades, right? And that's my fault, right? That's because in high school, you're constantly checking grades, so you can keep on you want to push them more than for them to play, is more to keep that GPA up, right? And just keep it up. And that's important too, that sometimes as club coaches, we neglect, right? We're just there. We only have them this much time. We only have them 3 times for an hour and a half in the week, and then the game, and then that's it. It's hard to build that relationship, but that's where a high school coach can help out a club coach.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many points there, and one of the things, unfortunately, it's kind of taken to a certain extent, not all. This is not a blanket statement by any means, but in many aspects, it's kind of a tribalism. It's a bit of a tribalism that's happening, right? Is like you have excuse me, you have kind of club coaches in one lane, high school coaches in another lane, and it's like, hey, this is my tribe. No, this is my tribe. And it's kind of like, no, the reality of it is our tribe is, as coaches, is our coaching fraternity and the game, right? We should all be one and the same. And I think kind of the visual that I get is 2 coaches, right? You imagine a club coach and a high school coach, and it's like, it's a standoff, right? They're just staring at each other. Both want to communicate with each other. Both know they need to communicate with each other, and it's kind of like playing chicken. Who's going to blink first? Who's going to speak up first, right? So and there's so many merits to the game on both levels. We know the club side, that's what's going to ultimately provide more exposure in terms of putting them in front of college coaches, depending upon the club that they play for, right?
Yeah.
What tournaments, what showcase events they may be going to. But for that same reason, though, so many of these same student athletes, they absolutely want to play for their high school, because you and I both know, you go to a club game, you're going to see 50 to 75 people, 100 if you're lucky, and the majority of them are parents, right? You go to a high school game representing your community, wearing that crest for your school, and you got a couple, 100, if not pushing close to at least 1,000 people, and you're playing with your everyday classmates, right? So there's merits to both, right? And you talk about the blind spots that can kind of exist on the club side, whether sometimes it may be the strength and conditioning side, sometimes it may be the grades side. These are great things that a high school coach can provide when working with a club coach. Now, in collaboration, that doesn't mean that they're working for that club, but the thing I find interesting is that so many coaches that I've come across, really good coaches across the state, great coaches, is they are usually coaching both, or at least have coached one and both at some point in their careers. So I don't know, to put the label on a high school coach or a college coach, I've never really understood. And I think because and that's kind of leading me to my next question is, how do we go about collectively educating our coaches, club side, high school side, to start building relationships for community outreach with each other? Because at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter about your tribe, doesn't matter about your lane. What matters is about these athletes, these student athletes, right? Putting them first. So how do we collectively, that village, right? How do we collectively maybe do a better job of building relationships as coaches?
Well, that's a tough question there, Coach C. It's
you have 30 seconds. Go.
No, yeah, it goes back to just being knowledgeable. Like you put it perfectly right now, in the sense that we're in it for the game, right? Like it's about the game, and we want to make the best experience for the player. So we really have to do a good job of self-reflecting, right? Self-reflecting as a club coach, and self-reflection in a high school coach is like, okay, are we there for the player? It has to be that. That is we're there. That is what we're working on, right? We're working on that player. And how can you really say that you're for the player if you don't want to let them play club, or vice versa? You're not going to let them play high school. Like, you're not there for the player. So find the time, right? Plan it out. Like, that is awesome that we can do with tournaments all over the country every single month. Is like, you can plan out. If you want to really get to know your player, like, oh, that player is passionate about their high school team because they want to represent their team, because their brother, their sister, their parents went to that high school and they want to wear their colors. How, as a club coach, are you going to deny that from them, right? Like, you want to say, no, you know what? Let's do it. We'll make sure that, we'll plan around that. And I know that money is a big issue, right? Coaches make a living as club coaches, and they're like, no, they need to be here. So it's a question, Coach, that what is the answer, right? It deals with what city are you working in? There's some other places where it's even, I say in El Paso, we see a lot. I don't know that many club players that are not playing high school, right? We have something really good where it could be that experiment, where I know I remember the coaches meeting that we have at the beginning of the year, right before the season starts, as high school coaches. Why can't at some point have a meeting where high school coaches and club coaches, come and, we sit down and we talk about the game, and then we talk about the players, and like, hey, did you know about this play? Did you know about that they did this, or they have this? And, going back to that player development and human development aspect is is going to be the thing that really pushes this coexistence to another level. Because imagine a player, right, feeling like, hey, you know, my coach respects that I play high school, my coach respects that I play club, and I'm just going to play for them, right? When I play for them, when it's my time to play for the high school or the club, I'm going to give it all, because that's what I believe in, and those are the values that both of them are teaching me. And it goes on the high school side, coaches. I think athletic directors have to be on board as well, right? Because some of them are like, no, they how can they go to a tournament when you have a tournament? You need to punish them, you know? And you're like, you're trying to do something good here to like help them, and they're putting those roadblocks, right? And it goes back to the admin side of the club level as well, saying like, no, they need to be here. And you know what? And I'm saying this not because I've experienced it, but I've seen it with other high schools, other clubs, not just here, but in other places where, you know, it's a top decision to kind of creates that animosity. It's like, no, you got to feel respected, so you need to like put a lid to this, and vice versa, right? And it's happened to a lot of programs. And so it starts at the top, right? And also parents is like, what do the parents want, right? If we as coaches, we promise them the world, well, the parents, a lot of them are going to be, okay, I'm going to go with that coach because he's going to get him or her a D1 scholarship. And we can't lie to people, right? We have to be honest, and we got to be truthful. Respect and communication will get us there.
How much do you? I know you mentioned it earlier, but how much do you miss the high school game? Be honest.
Nah, I miss it a lot. I miss it. I miss the training, right? I miss starting in, you know, the last week of November and then going all the way to April. That nonstop grind. Like I love the challenge, right? I know that sometimes high school soccer doesn't give you the best tools to really plan out a session, because you have to worry about recovery and all that. But, you know, playing an opponent twice in your district, or 3 times in some cases, and seeing them and having to really watch film, like that's another thing that I don't have film in club, at least not yet, right? And watching film, watching huddle, and waiting, you know, staying till after, 11 o'clock, breaking down the game, because if I go to sleep with the game in my head, like I'm not gonna get any sleep and I'm gonna forget all my thoughts. So write them down. Like I miss that, and the most important is I miss that culture building. You know, it's cliche, right? But really trying to build a culture with values, with core values that are going to build that character in that player, because in the end you're building that student athlete to be a better person, not necessarily a better player. And I feel that in the high school game you get to do that a lot more than you do in club. It's very competitive, and that's fun too, right? Like you only have those 2-3 training sessions and that's it. You got to be ready to go. But I don't say that I will never go back to coaching high school. I don't know, but it's something that it's in the back of my head, and I do miss it. Not a lot. I still love what I'm doing, but it's there. You know, those little things that club doesn't replicate, right? You try to, but it's not the same.
Yeah, I mean it's really the smaller fraternity within a fraternity, right? I think once you have it, it's a part of you. Even you can be removed from it for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, but it's still very much a part of you. So yeah, no, that's well said. So as we start transitioning here, Coach, tell us, what can we, I guess as best as you can, obviously, what can we expect from the El Paso Locomotive, the Youth Academy, in the near future, over maybe like the next 6 months to a year? What, in terms of what you can share with us?
Okay, well, like I said, we started it in a pandemic, right? And it wasn't a perfect start, but it's been great. It's been great, and a lot of the plans that we had taught that we discussed as a club at the beginning, we couldn't really do them because we had so many limits, right? But now we're getting to do things the right way, right? We get to plan things out and really execute. So moving forward, then the first thing right now is going to have like a true tryout, right? So we'll have tryouts on June 7th, 9th, and 10th. So on the boys' side, June 7th will be kind of like an invite, players that have reached out, and we'll give them an opportunity to see them, to build, add to our teams. We know that in club, players will leave, right, for whatever reason. So we need to, get some more players. And then June 9th would be another opportunity for everybody that registered. By June 4th, we'll get an opportunity to be there and get seen by the coaches of the age groups. And then eventually on June 10th, invite the current players and everybody that we've selected to, make the team, right? And it sounds like it's like, oh, tryouts, and I don't know. In high school, it's the same way. Tryouts, like, oh, am I going to make it? It's a little tough for players, but it builds that grit and that competitive edge, and you need to put them in that situation for them to see if they have the right qualities for them to move forward and to help you out as a club, right? So tryouts, I'm excited about the tryouts because we're really going to do it the right way. We weren't able to do it in that summer, and in the fall it wasn't really, we couldn't have really much. There's a few players that we got to see, but not in a large scale like this. So that's that. And the thing what I'm really excited about is that we're going to start adding girls programs. I know that's going to really, again, all eyes on us, but we're trying to provide an opportunity for the girls of this city as well. And we're looking forward to the type of coaches that we're going to get, right? And I'm not going to say any names, but there's going to be some former players they're going to help us out with that. And that's in the next couple of weeks. And then moving forward, and as everybody know, there is a USL Academy. So on the boys' side, 15 to 19-year-olds will have that opportunity to play against other USL academies. And then just go from there, right? There's vision for playing in competitive leagues outside of El Paso, right? And how can we make that happen? And it's just very unfortunate that geographically speaking, El Paso is very far from those competitive leagues, right? Yeah. And the traveling and stuff like that. But we hear it from the parents, like they want this, they're willing to support, and if we have to travel every other weekend, they want that. They want that for their sons, and eventually for their daughters, and then they want that for the club, and we'll continue to grow. So we'll add more teams as we lose the older teams, and younger teams are going to come up, and I want to see what other type of coaches, experienced coaches, we're going to bring in. Right now we have a really good group of coaches that have been around for a long time, that know Paso soccer, that are licensed. I feel like I need to. Just one of my colleagues just got his B license. I'm like, dude, you just got your B license. I can't finish my C license, and a couple more will finish up in the next couple of weeks. So that's awesome that you get to work in that environment. So building that curriculum that's really going to be the locomotive way, where we're really going to structure the development of the players. So I'm excited to be part of that. But yeah, a lot of great opportunities are coming up. So I'm gonna give out the reminder. So if you go to Locomotive Youth Soccer, go to Locomotive website, and then look at youth soccer. There's a tryout portion, and try to register by June 4th. You can get an opportunity to be in the tryouts, and you experience it for yourself. I think I can say as many great things, but you never know as a person what you're going to get until you go and experience it. So we're all about the experience. We're all about providing a correct pathway for players, and we have 2 teams in each bracket, right? And yeah, there's this whole like A team, B team, but with the coaches that we have, sometimes you can't tell the difference. And as I was talking to a parent actually last night, it's like, look, even if you feel like your player can't be on that A team, as long as they're in this club and we provide these opportunities to go to showcases and to really push the players to train 3 times a week, to train in quality fields and to bring in teams so they can compete, and then bring in coaches, college coaches to see them within the club, like that's an opportunity in itself. And now that the player goes and plays high school soccer as well, because we allow our players to go play high school and they do a good job there and they get their good grades and they get their good SAT scores. Now you have that well-rounded soccer player that is ready to get seen and go ready to spread the club's name, the high school's name, the city's name, and their family's name across the country. So we're excited what's going to happen in the future, and having a professional team here on the boys' side, those opportunities are going to come up. You're going to start seeing some of our academy players, get those opportunities to play at the USL level.
He's Obed Hernandez, Academy coach and goalkeeping director for the El Paso Locomotive Youth Academy. Coach, this is exciting stuff. That's great stuff. I understand you're going to stick around with us. I know you're trying to escape, but we're going to keep you here for our second segment, our counterattack segment, where we get to pick on you a little bit. So
I gotta go.
All right. For our listeners, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Coach Hernandez. And welcome back to the 50-50 podcast presented by Physical Athletics, our proud partners, Physical Athletics. You can find them on all social media platforms at Physical Athletic. That's FYZICAL Athletic, as well as on their website at physicalathletics.com. All right, we have Coach Obed Hernandez, the Academy coach and goalkeeping director for the El Paso Locomotive Youth Academy. Coach, counterattack. You ready to go? Trial by fire. You ready to go? Gonna dive right in.
Let's do this, man. This is exciting stuff.
All right. All right. First question. All right. Any training session or game day superstitions or rituals? As a coach, I always always have to remind coaches as a coach. So, training session or game day superstitions or rituals?
Good music before, and both as a player and as a coach, like good music right before anything, anything that just gets you kind of loose. And if it's a sing-along, it could be from a hard rock song to a rap song to a country song, but a nice song before you turn off the car, ready to get out there, it's important. And, it's so superstitious that if I don't do it, I feel like I don't have the best practice or the best game, so got to get pumped up, listening to some good music.
All right. Emojis, yes or no?
Yes.
Most used emoji that you use?
What is the one that's, whoops, I don't know what it's called, but that was my favorite. I'm a joker.
I don't know if anybody will top Coach Pittman's previous episode. He said that his wife uses the poop one with him all the time. So, yeah, that was hilarious.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know.
All right. Last book you read?
Last book I read, Better Conversations. It is a instructional coaching book by Jim Knight and his group. So It's good, right? It not only applies to education, but it applies to daily life and truly applies to the soccer coaching world as well.
Nice. Are you currently reading anything, or is it that one? Are you currently reading anything else?
No, that's the one that I just let go. I downloaded a book by Diego Simeone. I had to pay respect to his La Liga victory, so there's a little biography on Diego Simeone. So I'm looking forward to reading now.
Yeah, great. Okay, hobby you discovered during the pandemic.
Say it again.
A hobby that you discovered, maybe something you hadn't done before that you just took up. Hobby you discovered during the pandemic. A hobby.
A hobby
during the pandemic, something you'd never done in your life and you just started taking up and you've kind of stuck with a little bit.
I guess it's most on the workout side. It's elliptical. I love my elliptical. I have bad legs. I have really bad back, and just getting on the elliptical, it doesn't beat running, but that's the only thing that I can do right now for a workout, and I love it. Right, I get on it and put on a movie, put on a coaching video, put on an audiobook, and then just go. Right. Sometimes I'm late to work because I go a little bit overboard. Right, because you just don't feel it. It's fun.
Yeah, we'll be sure to edit. We'll be sure to edit out that portion for your boss. So don't worry. All right. Okay. So some soccer questions here. Favorite and least favorite soccer team.
Favorite Red Devils, man. I'm Manchester United. I'm so excited about the final tomorrow. I know it's not a Champions League final, but it's a final. It's a European final. So I might take a long lunch tomorrow to kind of catch that. And I've been a Manchester United fan. The golden age back in the early 90s, and that was fun to watch.
This concludes the podcast. Thank you for being a guest on our show. Okay.
First soccer team that I played for was my brother's team, and we're called Manchester United, and we had some awesome sweats that were just and yeah. So worst my I have two. I Real Madrid. I'm sorry, Real Madrid.
Is it 1 and 1A or is it 1 and 2? Is there like one more than the other?
Well, like Real Madrid, I can't stand Real Madrid. I like the players. Luka Modric, one of my favorite players, but I just can't stand that cockiness of that club. I'm glad that Spain doesn't have any Real Madrid players right now.
Yeah, that was some interesting news, wasn't that? That was
crazy. That was good. That's good. Yeah. That's good.
I wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked with the way they played this year, but yeah, that's just amazing news. But yeah, so I'm sorry. Go ahead. You had Real Madrid as well.
And then the other one is on Club America, man. I'm a Pumas fan. I was born in a Pumas blanket when I was born. True story. So I'm a Pumas fan, even though that's not my favorite team, but I'm still a Pumas fan. But America is, again, I don't know. There's something about the fans, and I'm sorry to all my good friends, but yeah.
All right. I thought you were going to give me the good news and say you were a Chivas guy, but no, I guess not. So
no,
okay. All right. So here's an interesting one. So as a coach, one piece of advice, if you could go back, right? One piece of advice that you'd give the younger coaching version of yourself. If you could go back, what would it be? Just one.
Be more coachable. I was a coach's nightmare when I was, especially in high school level. I was just wouldn't have it, right? That respect I talked about earlier, it's like, I wish I was just a little bit more coachable. I know that I could have learned a lot more from many of my coaches. I picked my favorites and I just stuck to what they said. And I think that is one of the biggest, if not the best quality that you need to have as a player, is to be coachable, because everybody has something that can improve your game or just improve your state of mind, right?
Okay. As a coach, what about as a coach?
As a coach, it's disciplined, right? Now that the game has become more competitive at an early age, is being disciplined, taking care of your body, eating right, drinking water, getting your night's sleep, being disciplined in how you take care of your body and how you play the game. This game has become very structured in a way, which is good and bad, but you have to be disciplined. And I think that it's the player needs to come with it, right? You can drill it out of him, but it would just be a lot easier if the kid was like, okay, focused on what they're going to do.
Right. Okay. All right. So Coach Hernandez has made the soccer czar in the United States, right? You're it. You're the president, ambassador of all soccer, of everything in this country. What's one thing, only one thing, if you could change one, what would it be? What would you change tomorrow?
Well, giving more access to underprivileged communities and bringing in coaches, finding those areas that might not have the ability to pay for play. Yes, I said it. And bring quality coaches and do like a little, camps. The Soccer Federation, sending out their best coaches, their ODP youth national coaches to these areas and having this week-long camps, this tour in the summer and the winter, and giving kids an opportunity to play the game at a competitive level and get seen and get coached by, the best.
That's a very good one, Coach. Very good one. Strangest thing in your refrigerator right now?
Strangest.
This one gets everybody.
Yeah. I have some olives with some garlic, that minced garlic kind of mixed.
Yeah.
So I mixed it together and use it for cooking.
Oh, gotcha.
I make some red beers off of it too. The garlic makes it a little bit different.
All right. No, it's a good one. Interesting. All right. Bucket list destination. Place you want to go, whether it be, you with your wife or the family before it's all said and done. Bucket list destination.
Well, I go watch a Champions League game in Old Trafford. That's perhaps if I have the ability to do it. And now with this whole not being able to travel, first opportunity we get to go to Europe, and if that's a possibility, then we're gonna do it. You only live once, and a year of not being able to travel, I'm a traveler, it's just hurting. So going to Dallas this weekend is gonna be fun. I know it's Dallas, I've been there 1,000 times, but I'm gonna get to go watch a playoff game. I'm gonna go watch the Mavericks play the Clippers. I've never been to an NBA game, so that'll be fun.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Watch Mexico and Iceland, and then I tell my coaching buddies at the club, they're like, "Are you going to go coach, or are you going to go on vacation?" It's like, "Hey, I'll go coach, and then I'm going to enjoy my time afterwards." But it would be awesome to go watch a Champions League game, and if it was a semifinal game in Old Trafford or something like that, that would be, top destination, bucket list for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Favorite show, series, Netflix series that you were able to binge watch? Your favorite one during the pandemic? What was it?
Whew, man, there's a lot, man.
That's why you can only pick one, though. You can only pick one.
You've seen so much, and you saw them so long ago, months ago. And now you see the ads again. They're coming up. But the Ozarks, I don't know what it was about the Ozarks that it was just a thriller, suspense. There was just so many things going on there, and I think I'm looking forward to that one. But dude, there were so many. But
yeah, I saw that one. That was one of the first ones, because I think if you remember, the newest season at that point, it had just come up, right? Right when we were entering the pandemic. So I said, hey, what the heck? I watched all of them.
Yeah, that's everybody had been talking about it, and now we were home. It's we're gonna watch. I started, and seriously, I finished it in 10 days.
Right. Yeah. So new series anytime soon? Have you seen on that one? I haven't seen anything on that one.
Well, I saw it yesterday. As a matter of fact, it's the new season coming, right? And I don't know when it's going to be. Obviously, it's not going to be anytime soon, but hopefully by the fall, it'll be out there, right? It'll be something to watch.
Good deal.
But there's Ted Lasso's coming up too.
Yeah, July next month, or July, I should say. Here I am thinking we're already in June. Feels like we are, but all right. Next one. Funniest moment in training or in a game that you can share.
Funniest moment.
Yeah.
Well, it was, and then this changed my my coaching style, right? I was at hard nose screaming the entire time, Miguel Herrera coach, right? And we're playing Hanks in our first playoff game at Sanelli. We did a playing game. It was our first victory in Sanelli in the playoffs. And one of our girls scored an awesome goal from outside the box, and I just went out screaming. And then I felt that heart pain. I didn't have a stroke or anything, but I was like, oh. And then from there, and everybody's like, Coach, you're right. You're like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to take it easy from now on. And sure enough, I became more calm, more relaxed. It's I'll get on the players a little bit, but I need to watch my emotions, because I need to be around this game for a while. But yeah, that thing, I scream and jump, and all of a sudden I just like in the air. I'm like, oh, whoa, what's that? I just gotta sit down for a little bit.
Yeah, don't be stroking out in front of the players, Coach. That's not good. That's not good. All right. Final question. I asked this one to everybody. All right. So post-pandemic, we're in the clear completely. You got family, all kinds of family coming in from out of town, everywhere. They're all going to your place. Sunday dinner, you're the chef. What are you cooking?
Sunday, so I'm a taco guy, so I am definitely would make some tacos, some discada, some tripitas, some bistec tacos with some homemade salsa, right? And hopefully my mom is here so she can make the salsa, right? Nothing against my girlfriend, but my mom's salsa is the bomb. And
I'm with you. I know.
And she knows that she's getting better, but homemade salsa by my mom, and then just grilling some or just making some discada tacos from scratch, right? From scratch, nothing pre-made, and some tripita tacos. I love tripita, especially when they're a little like kind of soggy still, and then some bistec tacos, man. That would be a buffet, taco buffet line with some nice salsa, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to see my parents. I haven't seen them in a year, so that's gonna happen soon.
Wow. Well, now we got to end the podcast because you made me hungry, Coach. I'm hungry now after all that. So awesome. Well, hey, Coach, this has been really, really great. We dove into a lot of information. We look forward to definitely having you back on as a reoccurring guest. Love to have you on, especially you can take us on this kind of journey with the Youth Academy there for the Locomotive. The Locomotive is clearly, obviously, an exceptional, organization top to bottom. Obviously, they're doing great things in the USL championship. So I can only expect great things with coaches such as yourself with the Youth Academy. So we're grateful for your time here. Thank you. But before we let you go, any final words, thoughts, anything you want to share with our listeners out there?
No, again, Coach, thank you for the opportunity. And, I know that you are moving to other pastures, right? And hopefully I'll see you in your new neck of the woods. I didn't get to see you here, but maybe, pay you a visit and keep doing what you're doing. This is awesome. You're giving so many people a voice that are in this game, especially here in Texas. It's just awesome to see. I look forward to all the podcasts that come out and learn a little bit about the different voices that are out there in this game. I'll look forward to maybe seeing you in this podcast. We didn't talk much about the goalkeeping stuff. We can just have a whole session of just goalkeeping and everything and how we feel about it here. But thank you for the support, and for all of you listeners, if you are wanting to change in your club's soccer experience, go to the Paso Locomotive website and go to the youth section, Tryouts, and check it out. You never know what you can experience there, and if it's for you or not, until you try it. So thank you, Coach. Good luck in your new whatever it is that you're going to do next, and good luck with all that. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, hopefully announcement coming soon on that one. I know I seem to get I don't know, for lack of better words, bugged at least 2 or 3 times a day. But
Can you get it? Any
random friends, random coaches. No, not yet. But hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully soon. Soon is the hint, I guess. So,
okay.
But yeah, for sure. So, Coach, again, thank you for your time. Sincerely appreciate it. You're a professional as always. Wish you nothing but the best. Good luck this weekend. First tournament for the El Paso Locomotive Youth Academy as well. So, wishing you the absolute best. And again, for our listeners, you can find us. On social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram. Go out and also please support, watch all our new episodes that are also airing first on YouTube, and then the following week on your podcast platforms. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms. Again, to find us, we're part of the Day in the Life network. So you'll have to search A Day in the Life : Unplugged, and then that's where you'll find the 50/50 podcast. So again, that's A Day in the Life : Unplugged. That's where you'll find us on all podcast platforms. You can find us on YouTube as well. Go on there, give us a rating, subscribe, and you're the reason why we do it. Have great guests like Coach Hernandez here. So until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening.